Hi, everyone, and welcome to our live stream. You are here with Keep Indiana Learning, and my name is Jessica Miller. I am a professional learning specialist with the Keep Indiana Learning team, and I primarily support K-12 instructional coaching and also elementary math. And I am super excited to be here with you today. We are here as part of our student-centered coaching, the workshop preview series. So we have a couple of sessions planned to talk with our hosts for our workshop, to talk with some coaches, and to talk with some of our partnerships about student-centered coaching and the role that it has played in their spaces. Today, specifically, we are here with two Avon coaches from Indiana, and they're going to talk with us a little bit about their role and experience with student-centered coaching work. As a reminder, you can find all three of our shows for this series on our YouTube channel from Keep Indiana Learning. And just a shout out that our event this fall in September, Student-Centered Coaching, the workshop, is being hosted in partnership with our team here at Keep Indiana Learning and also the Center of Excellence in Leadership of Learning. You can find more information about this upcoming workshop at keepindianalearning.org/events/SCC-workshop. Lots of letters there. I should be on the bottom of the screen for you. And again, thrilled to be here today with our guests, Kristle and Haylee. So hi, it's good to see you. Do you mind introducing yourselves to our guests?
Sure. Hi, I'm Haylee Green, and I am the instructional coach at Pine Tree Elementary in Avon Community School Corporation.
And I am Kristle Chalos, and I am also an instructional coach in Avon at a school called Hickory. And we both serve kindergarten to fourth grade currently, and next year we'll be serving kindergarten to fifth grade as instructional coaches that cover all subjects.
Such exciting stuff. And yes, all subject areas. That's a lot to put on our minds and on our plates, right? But such rewarding work when we can support across all those different content areas. So I'm excited to dig into today's conversation with you and how you found student-centered coaching and what it has done to support your coaching work in Avon. So I'd love to know first, if you don't mind, could you share with us a little bit about kind of your journey with student-centered coaching, kind of how we got to where we are right now with your personal coaching and maybe even your school district?
Sure. So I have been a coach for about 6 years, and I began the coaching journey. We were not initially student-centered, using the student-centered model. And we were really coaching heavily into pedagogical coaching, which was wonderful. And I learned so much through that journey. And then we did some district work. We had some new alignment with new leaders in our district and made the decision to move towards student-centered coaching, and really partnered with our administrators, redefined coaching and what that looks like, brought a whole bunch of new people onto the team. And it has just been the most wonderful transition. It took something that was already really rich and made it richer. And so I'm really excited to spend some time talking about it today.
Yeah, so I joined the coaching role about 4 years ago. So I got to see the teacher side when Kristle was doing her pedagogical coaching. And so I jumped in right on our journey around student-centered coaching, the launch of it. So that was a really neat time just because I got to be a part of all of the training through that and kind of live that alongside several other coaches who had the background and learn from them and kind of marry those two together. And I know Kristle spoke a little bit about that defining work, but that really helped kind of like launch coaching in our district, really kind of getting us to a place where we could make sure that, student-centered coaching was the primary focus of our role. And so together with administration, we were able to kind of get some things off of our plate so that we could really zoom in on teachers and students in our buildings.
Yeah, something that really helped us in that journey is that my administrator at the time had worked using student-centered coaching. And so she was an incredible support to our team to kind of launch us and get us off the ground. And if I needed to ask a question, I had someone right down the hall that I could run to. And so that was a wonderful help for not just me, but for our entire coach team. She really lifted us and got our journey started really well.
Yeah. When she says us, she really does mean us. We're really lucky. We get to meet as a coach team weekly. We do different meetings every other week, but oftentimes we would meet at Kristle's building where her administrator was, and we would just call her down, hey, we're spinning on this. We need a little help. And so she was definitely somebody who listened and helped guide us through our early times with student-centered coaching. So
absolutely. Shout out to Moody. We
yeah.
love you.
Oh, hopefully she's watching and she can shout out right back to you. I think I appreciate hearing your journey, and then also that piece that you mentioned about like the training and the partnership, right, and the support that comes into place with putting a structure like student-centered coaching in. And I think that's one of the great things that I'm personally most excited about with our workshop in September is we're bringing two consultants from Diane Sweeney Consulting's team. They're two of their senior consultants, and they have done work across the country supporting schools and districts and teams in elevating their student-centered coaching work. And I'm just thrilled that we get to offer both a level 1 and a level 2 option for our participants. So people who are new to student-centered coaching or just dabbled a little bit, they're going to be able to find their people and the people that connect with them that they can train with together throughout those 2 days. Or for those that have been a little bit more experienced, have been doing the work for a while and maybe have been to workshops and trainings in the past, going to be ready to jump into that level 2 and really focus on the networking and growing in that practice. Because as you both have mentioned, the partnerships, the leadership support, the training, like all of that is so important and valuable when we are getting coaching models, methods, and practices just kind of up and running in our schools and districts. Thank you for sharing that with me. So you talked a bit about kind of your journey then and where you were and where you are now. Could you talk with us a little bit about how student-centered coaching has really impacted what I would call like your school community as a whole? So the coaching team, teachers, students, how have they all been affected by student-centered coaching? Or might you have a success story that you might want to share with us?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and start. So around my time entering the coach role, we had redistricted. And so several of my teachers at my building were not necessarily at the building prior, and I was not either. So it actually was a great segue because we were redefining that coach role. And so I was able to kind of, set the new tone for the building. And that really was a work in progress. I would say it's still always a work in progress, trying to market and just keep what is our focus. With student-centered coaching, it's a big shift from where we were, making sure that students are actually the focus. And that entry point, I think, is what helped me get into a lot of different classrooms. It kind of knocked down the walls and the barriers, with coaches and teachers from the role that we were in. And so one of my favorite stories is I had a teacher who was new to our building, not new to the profession, but she was new to the building. And she had a kind of rough end of the year with just some classroom management, a little bumpy. And so we started the year off the next year together, right alongside each other. And so we met new kids together. We formed, new structures and, tracked our data and saw huge growth and success. And recently we've had some new administration in our building, and they would say that classroom management was not something they would have ever pegged for this teacher. And so she's just knocking it out of the park, and it was a neat experience to do that alongside her. So.
Yeah, amazing. I would add to that, I think that the shift for me we had a lot of teachers in our district that really kind of viewed coaching as evaluative prior. And so the shift to student-centered coaching, the shift to looking at student data, just like Haylee said, it knocked down the doors. Teachers are saying, oh, you're going to look at student data with me? Please come help me. I want to partner in this. Let's do this together. And so I think for me, that's the biggest piece, is that we are partners that are looking at students and trying to help them move and grow. And so that change in that paradigm shift of what a coach is was a huge win, I think. And that's been an impact on the school community. I really think that probably something that I'm the most proud of in my coaching journey is when we do student-centered coaching, you can do a single cycle with a teacher, you can do a team cycle. There are lots of avenues for really meeting the needs of lots of students in your building. And so this year I've been so lucky to do a team cycle in second grade. And that second grade is a really special, unique grade. And there's a lot of changes that have been happening in Indiana that have really affected what happens in second grade. And we've also just done a lot of amazing standard work in our district. And so I've been able to just really partner with that whole team and the relationship that I have with them, how well I know their kids, I know their data, how well they each know each other's. It's really changed, I think, how they approach learning. And like, they really have this idea that all means all, like all kids in second grade are all of their kids. They're all of our kids. And so I'm so proud of, just that we know the data, we're naming it, we're naming the strategies, we're moving forward. So yes, it's impacting, student or teachers and their instructional practices, but that is almost like a byproduct because our focus is so deep on the student data. And that's really exciting. And I just think that's the piece that if I was going to share about student-centered coaching, that's the difference, is that you get that opportunity. And, when you miss the students, that's one thing. I've been coaching for a little bit. And I think sometimes we can miss that like classroom environment. You don't miss it in student-centered coaching because you're in the classroom all the time. So it's amazing.
Yeah, you still get to build those relationships with kiddos, and they look for you in the hallways, even when you're not in their room. But
they do.
So one thing I did want to add is that the results-based coaching tool, which I know that you spoke about, them getting the opportunity to be able to see and access, that's one thing that has been super helpful at tracking that progress with our students, but also something that we can share with other teachers to kind of say, hey, look at our growth, look at what we monitor. Here's kind of it in a one-stop shop to kind of name our work together and to share with our administration. Having just that touch point with several people in one document is really powerful. So
if you're not familiar, the results-based coaching tool is a document where we really track like from the beginning to the end and what that looks like and what the initial data is and all the work we did in between. And then like, what is that outcome that we have gotten to? And it's such a beautiful way to kind of push forward and share with, just like Haylee said, with other teachers so they can see the impact of this work.
Absolutely, yes. We want to make sure it's measurable, right? That's a word that we see come up a lot in student-centered coaching, right? That our work is impactful and that we can measure the work. I'd love to know, I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot right here with this question, but I wondered, for those of us in our audience who might not be familiar with like what that beginning to end means, so the language I'm thinking of is coaching cycle, could you give just like a brief summary maybe of what a coaching cycle is or what it looks like to be in partnership with a teacher or a team of teachers?
Sure. So typically we have a goal setting meeting with teachers. We sit down and we have a form that kind of like helps us, stay on track, keep us focused, but really thinking through the lens of the standard and what is it that our focus is going to be? What are the teachers' hopes for that time? And then we start the planning process. So after we goal set, then we just weekly plan together. We have a little bit of time where we meet weekly. We plan what's going to happen in their classroom. What is the teacher going to do? What are we going to do? And there's a great book about the coaching moves that you can use in the classroom. And so once you get really familiar with it, then you start to learn about what are those moves that you can do in the classroom to really just move student learning. And so you meet with them 4 to 6 weeks. You're in the classroom, and then you kind of have that post assessment. You have kind of that ending progress monitor to see, okay, how did we do? What was the measure of the impact of the coaching cycle? And I try to celebrate every week with our teachers. That's the first thing I do when I sit down with them and plan. I think about like, what's something amazing that happened while we were in the classroom together, and then at the end, we can kind of celebrate all the things that happened along the way. That's the full cycle. But we also have mini cycles.
Yeah, and one thing I would add about the full cycle too is I know Kristle spoke about having either a cycle that's one-on-one with the teacher or even doing a grade level cycle.
Yeah.
You still have a collaborative meeting weekly with them. So if it's a team cycle, then you're collaborating all together. You have more minds at the table. If it's one-on-one, it would just be the coach and the teacher at that planning meeting. But either way, that planning is super powerful. So you're on the same page so that when you're in the classroom, you're you know what the work is that they're doing, right? You're living it with them. So that's super exciting. The mini cycles, though, that you were referring to are pretty much the same process. We still track our data. We still do some goal setting. We do something that's maybe a little more like small, because you're only going to be in the classroom 2 to 3-ish weeks before you would kind of see what's the impact in the post data. We actually leverage a different results-based coaching tool, just so that it's a smaller scale and we can still measure it, but it's not as many pieces, it's not as many reflection and meetings. And so sometimes those are really helpful because maybe it's a small group you want to target. And so that's perfect for a mini cycle. Or maybe when you're planning your schedule, because you can get a little full, minis just fit you a little bit better at that time. So
minis are awesome, like in December, and I love minis in May because May is a really good time to try something new that teachers want. That's something I learned from my administrator that was a coach, is just I often get teachers on board in May just because I'm like, let's try it. Like we've got 2 to 3 weeks. Why not? And, they're really willing to do it. So
yeah, like right now we're onboarding some new curriculum that will start at the beginning of next year. And so I've been able to scoop in a couple of minis just because we're like, let's try it out with the group that we have. Like we have established routines already. So let's give it to them in May so I can practice my craft. But just different entry points with minis that come along. So
yeah, it's exciting.
And I appreciated hearing a lot, like you said, like the entry points, right? And there's different ways that we can approach this work. What I also keep hearing you mention is the way that your coaching work is really tied to like the movement of the state, right? With our standards or any shifts in instructional practice, the movement with your district as far as what resources are being utilized and how is that going to impact instruction, and really thinking about how coaching is all about teaching, right? It's all about our kids. It's all about meeting the needs of our students and supporting our teachers in a partnership to help them get there rather than one more additional thing, right? It sounds like you're being super intentional about making it all feel connected and cohesive for the teachers that you're partnering with.
Yes, absolutely. I'm really excited. We are in the middle of building an instructional model in Avon. And so we're even going to be embedding that piece in, which is amazing because obviously we'll start with standards and we get to learning targets and we get that deep clarity around what it is that our kids need to learn. And then we have, these best practices that we can support teachers with. I mean, I think just the marry of all the things we're really excited about the next steps that we're taking here in Avon.
Yeah, and I think that'll provide some clarity work because one of our goals when we do a cycle is to have that transfer out to other teachers in the building. Whether it's a one-on-one cycle, we still want to be able to have our work together share to the PLC team, right? And so that clarity will help us at a PLC meeting be able to push, more teachers than maybe we're able to do a cycle with. So.
Yeah, I know sometimes that's a concern, when teachers are building their schedules, like how many teachers can I fit truly doing these cycles? And that's something that in Avon, we've worked up to, having capacity to do more than what we started with. Mm-hmm. But one of the great things is the work that you're doing doesn't live in a silo, like Haylee said. What you're doing, so often I'll have teachers share the work that we're doing in their cycle, in their PLC.
I think we might have lost our guest for just a minute. We'll give them a moment to rejoin. While we wait for them, I just want to offer a quick reminder that we are getting ready for our student-centered coaching workshop. And so as you've been listening in to our 2 guest coaches for today, if you've been thinking this sounds interesting or how do I really get this work up and running, our workshop is going to be a great place for that. In our workshop, you're going to learn deeply about what is student-centered coaching, what are the practices of student-centered coaching, what are the key elements that we lean into, how do I build schedules, what is the results-based coaching tool, how do I set goals for teachers, and even how do I partner with my administrator to make this work happen. So this is going to be a really great opportunity for you to come together to learn about our student-centered coaching work. And hi, I think you're back. I was just sharing a little bit more about the We are glad you're here. It's not a problem. I got to talk a little bit about the workshop just then. And so what I was going to ask you next then, if that's okay, is I just shared, at the workshop, our participants are going to get an opportunity to think about partnering with administrators, to be thinking about the results-based coaching tool and cycles and practices and everything. If you had to pick one thing that you wanted coaches to know specifically about student-centered coaching, what would be that one thing that you'd want them to hold on to or think more about or learn about or just know about?
I would probably say that it's a true partnership. You know, through the successes, through the failures, through the, students that you're working with, like there's nothing that isn't on the table that, student-centered coaching isn't going to support. We are going to work on all of the things, and the outcome is going to be, even if the outcome isn't what we want it to be, we're going to work on that too. We're going to make a plan for that. And so it's definitely about the partnership, and that like judgment is not there between the relationship of the coach and the teacher.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. For me, it's truly like, no matter where a teacher is on their journey, a teacher who's been teaching 25 years, a teacher it's their first year, student-centered coaching is for them. It can be being a thought partner with somebody who is an incredible teacher. I have walked away learning so much from my co-teachers in student-centered coaching. And then sometimes it's just you helping to model for a brand new teacher who is trying to figure it out. And so that's the piece of student-centered coaching that I love. It's that, it really is for all teachers. There's an entry point there because you are looking at students. And so that makes it something, whether it is not just general education teachers. I've done lots of cycles in our related arts. I've done, special education cycles. I've done cycles with our multilingual teachers. So really student-centered coaching is coaching for all teachers. And it is always done best when you have, support from your administration. So I would really encourage coaches that are wanting to start this journey, like bring along your administrator, because it really makes a huge difference when your administrator's on board and they really understand the purpose of student-centered coaching.
Yeah, I think that also like the marketing piece, when she was speaking about, they've been teaching for 25 years, they've been teaching for 2 years, leverage those teachers, ask them to write you a quick reflection after it's over, because that marketing piece is part of your job, right? How to get yourself out there for more cycles. And teachers, you'll find, are really willing to say, this was great about the work together, and that, voice from other teachers is powerful.
Absolutely. And it sounds like, I know right before our technical difficulty, we were talking a little bit about, being patient, knowing the work's going to grow, not being worried about, spending a long time with one group of teacher, because it's going to have that ripple effect, right, with other teachers in other spaces. And it really sounds like you're having no problem at all filling your schedule, filling your time, really working with teachers in intentional ways that are impacting your students and your teachers as well, in partnership with your leader, which I appreciate that you two both brought that up. That's an important component of the work for sure. Great. Was there anything you haven't had a chance to share that you were really hoping to share today?
I think there, I was thinking about this too, just coaching work in general. There's just a lot that we just wear a lot of hats. I think that's just a general thing we can say about coaching. And one of the things about student-centered coaching is that it's systematic. And so it is a system that you can put into place no matter what your personality is. We have very different personalities, and we work great. We both work this system really well and make it work for us just because it's structured for you. So that's one more plus for student-centered coaching, that I just think it's fantastic that it's easy to put into place, and to make it work, and for teachers to really understand what the rollout looks like.
Yeah, that transparency is important, right, for everyone in our school community to understand the role and the work that's happening. So awesome. Thanks for mentioning that. So thank you so much for being with us. We are so honored to have had a chance to talk with the two of you about your coaching work, specifically with student-centered coaching. Just want to offer a quick reminder to our audience that our workshop is coming up on September 9th and 10th at the University of Indianapolis. We do have early bird pricing happening right now, but it does end June 1st. So depending on when you're watching this, you may be in time to grab that early bird pricing, and we would encourage you to do so. As a reminder, this is one of 3 shows in our preview series. So be sure to check out our YouTube channel for our additional shows or episodes in the series. We're going to put the website here at the bottom of the screen for you. Again, if you're looking to register or looking for more information, you can check out keepindianalearning.org/events/SCC-workshop. And if you have questions, feel free to email keepindianalearning@cisc.org. And we are just so grateful you spent a little bit of time with us, and we hope to see you with our consultants and other coaches in Indiana in September. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.